So the market for DJI products is changing quickly. It's not just hardware updates, it's cameras, regulation, privacy. So if you're a hobbyist or a content creator, or you run an aerial business, DJI rollouts can impact you directly. And there is a lot going on. So let's just jump in. So first, what if I told you that it is now possible for almost anyone to monitor your drone from miles away, all in real time? So that's exactly where we've landed. And Greg, co-founder of Pilot Institute, has a great review over on Drone XL. He tested the Drone Tag Writer, which is a remote ID system with built-in LTE and Bluetooth. So in 2019, the FAA proposed a network-based remote ID, and the broadcast-based version of that became mandatory in September of 2023. So every drone should be registered and should be transmitting ID information. That's for everyone flying under Part 107 and even recreational flyers if you have a drone that weighs more than that 250 gram threshold. So Greg took this remote ID scanner and tested it at a bunch of drone events and gatherings and just kind of on the road near airports. And picked up signals from a number of DJI as well as Autel, Parrot, Freely, Inspire, and a bunch of other drone manufacturing brands. And he logged over 200 flights. And in doing so, found some really interesting results. Number one was a drone flying at 300 feet of elevation just inside the Prescott Airport's approach path. In another example, they found a drone going up over 1,000 feet into Class B airspace, and another flight that was more than 3 miles away from its takeoff location, which likely was outside visual line of sight. And with this device, he was able to detect those flights from 24 miles away. So the moral of the story here is that if you're flying, someone could be logging your data using your remote ID, even if you don't realize it. Now, there's a lot of implications to this information, but I don't want to steal Greg's thunder, so go ahead and check out his write-up over on Drone XL and check him out over on Pilot Institute. I've got links to both of those down in the description. Before we get to our next story, I've got a little story of my own, which is while my wife and I were in the hospital welcoming our baby girl, my personal Facebook and Instagram accounts were hacked and permanently shut down. And I'm hearing this story from other creatives more and more. My professional Instagram, which I built over years, was gone, and as a photographer, having a visible presence, well, it matters. So I've had to rebuild, and I'm asking folks who watch my channel to help me out. But to make it worthwhile, I'm doing a giveaway. I get gear from brands all the time to do reviews. And once I'm done, I don't always keep the gear. This chair that I'm sitting in right now is a review item. And so I want to give this gear to you. So here's how you can enter. Go and follow me on Instagram, be a subscriber to this channel, and just comment on this video saying, followed you on Instagram. Once I hit 1,000 followers, I'm gonna start sending out free gear and contacting those who have won. If you wanna really help and sweeten the pot, share as much of my content as you can, and like everything that you can find, it makes a huge difference. Next, we've got to talk about the secondhand market for DJI drones. So if you're thinking about buying or selling a used DJI drone in the next year, there may be a major roadblock coming from DJI. They're apparently considering or potentially implementing changes that could effectively ground some secondhand units. Now, we're still getting details, but the gist is this. They may tighten rules around transferring registration or activating drones that have been resold, especially in markets where there's a lot of used hardware. Now, that could mean that buying a used drone isn't as easy as it used to be, and in some cases, it might not be allowed at all. Now, this is a story that continues to develop, so I'm going to give you as many details as I can when they become more available and specifics drop. And as we get more information, I will likely cover it in a dedicated breakdown video. If you've bought or sold DJI gear secondhand before, have these changes affected you? Is this something that you do a lot? Let me know your experience down in comments. Next up is a segment for the professional drone flyers. The Matrice 400 is hands down the most capable enterprise drone that DJI has ever delivered. But it's not just about longer flights. This thing is built for the extremes. So rescue operations, infrastructure inspections, wide area mapping with a significant level of reliability that you expect in an enterprise quality product. So let's break down some of the things that make it a little bit different. First, the flight time. It does have a 59-minute flight time when in the forward direction and can hover for 53 minutes without a payload. It's got an IP55 rating, which means that it can fly from -4 Fahrenheit to 122 degrees Fahrenheit, can launch from stationary locations, land on moving vessels. Obstacle avoidance has been upgraded using a blend of LiDAR and millimeter wave radar, as well as full color fisheye cameras. It can spot power lines in low light and navigate mountain slopes, or even the glass on the sides of skyscrapers. And because of its communication technology, it can actually do GPS-free return to home. And it's got the option for a high lumen spotlight as well as a loudspeaker. And with its 10 antenna array, it supports the O4 enhanced video system and can transmit up to 25 miles. It also supports dual cellular dongles, and multiple drones can now even relay their signal to boost reach. Now this drone is ASTM F3322 compliant, which means that you can legally operate over people. And it is certified for regulatory requirements in the EU, Canada, and the United States. Real quick, I want to break into this DJI video to let you know that I do have something special for those who are supporting the channel directly. I have 2 brand new creative tools that will be available exclusively for my YouTube members. Now, I'm not selling these anywhere else. These will only be available here on YouTube for my members. First is my new Lightroom preset pack, which is called Spring Tone. It's designed for clean, natural portraits, family sessions this season, as well as Cinelabs, which is my curated LUT pack, which I've created specifically for cinematic looks for video. Now, if you're already a member, they'll be waiting for you, and if not, you can join right here on the channel and get instant access when they drop. Next, it wouldn't be a proper DJI video without talking about head-to-heads. So let's talk about a review matchup from Jake Sloan over at Drone XL, where he pitted the Mavic 4 against the Air 3S. Now, everybody kind of considers the flagship to always win these types of matchups, but there were actually some surprises in his review. And while the Mavic Pro definitely has that 4/3 sensor with the 6K at 60 FPS, it's got the dynamic range, it's got the variable apertures, but the Air 3S's 1-inch sensor delivers phenomenal 4K video. It is no slouch. It also has the wider 24mm field of view. It's smaller, packs down lighter, which can be amazing for solo creators and travelers. Now, while the Mavic 4 Pro does support full D-Log at higher bit rates, the Air 3S can actually shoot at faster slow-mo, though in 1080p. Both have the telephoto lens, but the Mavic 4 has that third lens at 168mm, if that's what you're looking for. So it's a really interesting matchup, especially when you're talking about weight and cost. So I'm really kind of curious which one of those you would choose for your work. Comment down below, but check out the full review over at Drone XL. I've got all the links down in the description. Next, we're getting news that there may be an ultralight king about to land. The Mini 5 Pro is coming, and we have leaked images and FCC filings to show that announcement is imminent. We've got speculation lining up around big improvements on flight time, camera specs, and possibly even software. So the Mini series has always been about that sub 250 gram sweet spot, right? No registration, less hassle. It's just grab and go. But the competition is heating up with drones like Autel's Nano and the Xeno Mini. So eyes are on DJI to see if they're going to leapfrog the others in image quality, wind resistance, and overall intelligence. Now, we don't have the full spec sheet yet, but with an FCC listing already in place, I would not be surprised if we get an official launch or at least an announcement soon. So if you're a hobbyist or traveler or a content creator looking for kind of the bang for your buck in a small drone, this is the one that you're gonna be looking for. Now, the Minis are traditionally launched towards the end of summer, but it looks like everything on the DJI roadmap has been kind of thrown into chaos with the tariff conversation. And with recent news that those tariffs have been, I guess, negotiated down or improved just recently, we may be seeing something sooner than later. So here we talk a lot about camera technology, and especially on drones from DJI. I don't traditionally talk a lot about Hasselblad cameras. Again, unless they're attached to a Mavic drone. But as Hasselblad is majority owned by DJI, it was just a matter of time before we saw some crossover between the two brands. We've already seen Hasselblad branding in the Mavic drones for the last few years, but now it looks like that might be going in the other direction. So what happens when you give one of the world's best cameras access to drone tech? Well, it looks like you get the Hasselblad X 2D 100C Mark II, which is launching with DJI's LiDAR autofocus system on board. Now, we've been seeing LiDAR in multiple DJI products over the last few years, from their 4D camera imaging system to drones to their gimbals. And Hasselblad has been known for years to have their massive sensor and amazing image quality. So while the X2D 100C2 keeps its 100 megapixel sensor, 8 stops of in-body image stabilization, 16-bit color, and 15 stops of dynamic range, but the real leap is in the precision that's awarded from the LiDAR autofocus system borrowed from DJI's Ronin 4D cinematic platform. And this solves some of the slower autofocusing issues that people have seen in the X2D, which lets photographer nail shots in low light with super shallow depth of field that's awarded with that medium format sensor. But there are additional refinements. We've got a new joystick, a more accessible button layout, an SSD up to 1 terabyte. The weight is coming in at 4.4 pounds, but there is no video mode. This is a stills camera with a price probably above $10,000. But I guess if you want to future-proof your workflow and you're tired of potentially missing shots, LiDAR could be the answer. This is also a strong sign that we're going to see more crossover content between the drone technology and traditional camera systems as we see this partnership between DJI and the Hasselblad systems come closer and closer together. So is anyone from Sony or Canon going to be jumping ship to get access to this LiDAR system? I don't know about that, but let me know what you think down in the comments. Next, we're going to jump into another camera brand from DJI, the OSMO brand, because July is looking like it's going to be DJI's probably most interesting months that we've seen in quite a while. So we've got the Osmo 360, which looks like it's going to be set for release on July 15th, with a teaser that is expected a few weeks before. We've got leaked images that hint that it could. So the Osmo 360 is going to be first up, and it looks like it's officially going to be released on July 15th. We should see a teaser just a few weeks before, and leaked images are hinting that it might actually beat out the Insta360 X5 at raw image quality. So if you're an action shooter or a vlogger, or you just like using 360 cameras for immersive content, this one might be interesting to look out for. Next is going to be the OSMO Nano, which looks like we're going to see on July 23rd, targeting FPV pilots and creators who want a modular, wearable, tiny camera, smaller than something like the Action 2, but not plagued by notorious overheating. Now, we don't have imagery yet, but we do have FCC filings to confirm that it is going for ultra portability, and is probably going to take on competing micro cameras from Insta360 and others. And as if that wasn't enough for the month of July, it looks like we're also going to be getting the Mic 3, and that's going to be on July 29th. It's going to be smaller than previous versions and will come in a new Squircle display format on the receiver, as well as a redesigned charging case. Details on this one are pretty tight, but the goal is going to be pretty clear here. Keep content creators covered with compact wireless audio for camera and smartphone work. And the assumption obviously is that it will continue to coordinate with those other products like the drone systems and their action cameras to be able to give you this kind of seamless ecosystem. We may also get some price cuts right before this product launches, so be on the lookout. And if you're not really absolutely requiring the latest and the greatest, this might be the time to get some of the previous generation at great prices. So let me know down in the comments, are you going to be waiting for this new camera or this new mic system, or you're more likely, like me, to see the slightly older products drop in price and then go pick them up? Next, let's wrap up our video with something that could probably make your shooting workflow a lot less painful. DJI has updated the Mimo app. This is version 2.2.12, and it's got real improvements for action shooters and mobile creators. First, you can now transfer files from Osmo Pocket 3 and Osmo Action 5 Pro directly over USB. No more Wi-Fi requirement, no more Bluetooth issues, just plug it in, dump your footage. So if you're on the go, this can speed everything up, especially if you're doing a lot of your editing in the field. Additionally, the app is rolling out 6 new dashboard themes to adjust your camera UI to match the tone of what you're filming. So if you're doing high contrast, minimalist, cinematic, whatever you want, there's quick access text overlays, labeling footage, marking events. It's very easy, and it's gonna make your post-processing workflow a lot easier. Now, iPhone users shooting with the OM7 gimbal are also getting a big improvement. Specifically in tracking, the app now combines wide and telephoto lenses to keep subjects centered. So even if they're at a distance or when they're moving fast, they should stay in view. Additionally, the scroll wheel has been tweaked and a new button shortcut has been added. These are all just real kind of quality of life, real world improvements. I think this is a bigger story than I've seen out there. They're really leaning into software to empower users to control more, to customize more, and to create faster. So whether you're focused on the camera side of it or on the workflow side of it, they're kind of improving both as time goes on to give you just overall a better experience with their products, which I really appreciate. Now, if you want to support what I'm doing here, consider becoming a channel member. You'll get access to exclusive resources like LUTs and presets, highlighted comments, members-only live videos, and early access to new uploads. If you're looking to book photo or video sessions with me, all the details are down in the description. I work in Las Vegas, LA, and San Diego. But also down there, you will find all of my gear links as well as my 2025 Creators Essentials list for anyone who's trying to get started in content creation. Now, those are affiliate links, so if you pick something up, it does help out the channel. And don't forget, I am rebuilding my Instagram after losing my original account. There's a giveaway going on to help get the word out. Just follow me on Instagram, subscribe here, drop a comment saying that you followed on Instagram, and you'll be entered to get free gear. But as always, the easiest way to support the channel is just to hit like on this video, hit the subscribe button. That is free and it really, really helps. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.